I am trying a new AI. It's called Restream. So we're going to see how this goes today. Okay. More importantly, I want to talk to you about imposter syndrome. It's something that I've been hearing a lot about. So I kind of looked up the statistics on it. I am previously in the past, a victim of imposter syndrome. And so I thought, well, according to the statistics, 70% of entrepreneurs experience imposter syndrome. And so today I want to talk to you about what imposter syndrome is, what are some of the signs, and how it hinders our success. And then next week, I'm going to talk about some strategies to overcoming imposter syndrome. So on every Monday between 2 and 3, sometime I'm going to have a Facebook Live on tips and tricks and strategies to overcome what might be holding you back from your success. For the next 2 weeks, it's going to be imposter syndrome. So what is imposter syndrome? So let's think about it this way. Have you ever been like received a compliment or an affirmation or an accomplishment and you kind of deferred it to somebody else, or you kind of foo-fooed it, or maybe you even doubted that, maybe they just gave it to you because you're a nice person or something like that? That is imposter syndrome. Also, when you think about imposter syndrome, stuff like thoughts and feelings like fear of failure, um, fear of not being able or willing to step into your success. And I'm going to call it really not stepping into your greatness. Because if there's one thing that I know for sure, we are all called to greatness. And it just gets to be when we find our genius what that greatness is. Like I would tell you, my genius or my greatness is people and building relationships. Those are really my greatness. But I will tell you, also, in those moments when I really thought I was being successful for that half a second, I would start to doubt myself, or I would say, oh, that was just lucky, or they just really like me. That's imposter syndrome. And as I previously said, 70% of people experience imposter syndrome. So here's the deal. We're not alone, right? I went so far as to put a tattoo on my ankle of the Wonder Woman logo just to remind me that I too am designed for greatness and I just get to step into it. And so that's what I've done over the last couple of years. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, right? Until one day when you can truly acknowledge it. So, what are some signs of imposter syndrome? Well, one of the signs is being a perfectionist. Here's the thing about perfection, it doesn't exist. Because think about it, when you are striving to be perfect, right? It's impossible. Because in my experience of perfectionism, when you reach that goal, like when this happens, it'll be the perfect day, or when that happens, it'll be the perfect um, exercise, workout, or whatever. And then what happens is you reach that, and then that's not good enough either. So that is what perfectionism is. So it doesn't really exist. I personally strive for excellence. That I can live with. Better today than I was yesterday. Looking forward to being better tomorrow than how I am today, in whatever that might be, right? So sometimes another sign of perfectionism, or excuse me, of imposter syndrome is like saying, oh my gosh, I'm the luckiest girl in the world. No, that's not true. You're not the luckiest girl in the world. You're not the luckiest guy in the world. Matter of fact, you've worked really, really hard. And when you work really hard, things come your way, right? And it's called success. And it's called stepping into your greatness. It's definitely not called lucky. Other people might see it that way. That's just not so. And then there's that fear of failure. When you look at being so afraid of trying new things or new opportunities, then because you might fail, well, that might be a sign of imposter syndrome too. And really, all failure is feedback. When we look at the situation and we see it and we think, okay, what is there for me to learn? How can I make this better? That's exactly what I'm going to do with this video. How much more value can I bring next time? That's all overcoming or stepping into my greatness, overcoming imposter syndrome. And also, discounting your greatness or discounting your accolades. or your successes, or deferring them to somebody else, and all signs of imposter syndrome. And so, how does that hinder our success, right? Because truly, when we have and are experiencing imposter syndrome, all we're doing is hindering our greatness, hindering our success. And we tend to avoid new opportunities because, again, we have that fear of failure. I mean, like the list, you always hear fear of failure, right? Or it even strains our relationships personally and professionally because we are not stepping into who we are designed to be. We're not being authentic. We think it's for somebody else. And I have another thought about that I'm going to share. And one of the other things that I personally experienced when I was dealing with imposter syndrome is that analysis paralysis. You make no decisions, you overthink it, you think, and then you just get paralyzed into making a decision. Well, really, what I've come to, any decision, right or wrong, is at least a decision, right? And if I call it quote unquote wrong, that's just feedback. I get to figure that out. And so I really have to spend a lot of time thinking about imposter syndrome and what could it be. And sometimes, I sit with myself and I think, what imposter syndrome is? It's us, our mind seeing who we're designed to be. It's our mind seeing our greatness for us, and we are holding back because of that inner critic, or as we say, that itty bitty shitty committee, or I call that voice in my head, that just goes, oh, you don't have a voice in your head, that one. I call it my sabotage shadow, or even the old nag. You know how a nag is, walking around reminding you of all your inadequacies and all the things like that. Sometimes that's how I refer to that voice in my head. And they like to really get busy and sabotage us sometimes. And we get to be responsible for reminding the critic that we are, in fact, made for greatness. And so next week, we're going to talk about some strategies to overcome imposter syndrome. And I would love for you to join me. And in the meantime, I'd love for you to like and share this video out. That would be super helpful, because really it's my goal to help as many people as possible. And if the right person hears this and they want to take action and overcome imposter syndrome, then that would just be fabulous. So give me feedback. Tell me what you think. I'm looking for some feedback so that I can offer the most value in about 5 to 7 minutes as possible. And also, I'll be sharing out later some things that I have going on here at You Empowered Services. I am a business growth coach and a success trainer, and I love helping people grow their lives and grow their business. So please share this out, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.